going, everyone? Welcome to Shifting Lanes. My name is Hanson, and in this video I'm here at Club Motorsports in New Hampshire. I'm here with a bunch of Challenger Hellcat Redeyes and also the Challenger Scat Pack. This is going to be an exciting day. We're going to be taking these cars around Club Motorsports. This is a 2.5 mile track, a lot of elevation changes. Here is a Redeye coming. I don't know what kind of speeds they just hit, but that is wicked fast. Before I share with you my impressions of the new powerful Dodge Challenger Hellcat Redeye, let's begin with some recent history. The 2018 Challenger SRT Demon came and went as quickly as it roasted the quarter mile. The limited production 840 horsepower, 0 to 60 in 2.3 seconds, Guinness World Record setting first production car to do a wheelie, was only limited to a small 3,300 units. If you missed the window of opportunity to buy one last year, you might want to consider looking at the used car market. But fair warning, looking up these values might make you feel much worse about missing that window of opportunity. That $85,000 starting price commands a hefty six-figure price tag at online auctions. Fast forward to now, for the 2019 model year, Dodge might have a solution for someone aching for that demon hardware, but not willing to pay the ludicrous price. It comes in the form of the Challenger Hellcat Redeye. If you go with what the engineers and the marketing people have to say about this new trim, they'll say it's the offspring of the Hellcat and the Demon, or the Redeye is the Hellcat that has been possessed by the Demon.
The way I like to explain this car to people is this is really a marriage between a Hellcat and a Demon.
That's actually very true. The Redeye has the Demon power plant, a 6.2 liter V8 with a 2.7 liter supercharger, which is the largest factory supercharger on any production car. You also get the Demon launch control, the torque reserve, line lock, and the air chiller used to divert air conditioning and refrigerant to cool the charged air. While its suspension, wheels and tires, and 6-piston 2-piece rotor were all donated from the Hellcat. In essence, the Redeye is the best of both worlds. For a much more reasonable starting price of $69,650, not including the $1,400 destination charge, you can get yourself a Redeye that produces 797 horsepower and 707 pound-feet of torque. Okay, so it's not quite the 808 horsepower rating of the Demon on 91 octane, but there's a perfectly good explanation for this. According to the engineers, it's the Redeye's 203 mile/hour top speed that was the driving factor behind the tuning parameters of the car. Since the Demon is a drag car, it had a different set of aerodynamic requirements when compared to the Redeye, a 200 mile/hour car. There's slightly different intake restrictions for the Redeye, and it's one of the calibration parameters for engine airflow calculations, resulting in a slightly lower power output. The Redeye also doesn't match the Demon's performance times. 0 to 60 times, the Redeye has a 3.4 second 0 to 60 versus the Demon's 2.3 seconds. At the quarter mile, the Redeye clocks in at 10.8 seconds at 131 miles per hour versus the Demon's 9.65 seconds at 140 miles per hour. Regardless, the amount of power the Redeye can generate is immense when compared to the Hellcat, which for the 2019 model year, the power has been bumped up to 717 horsepower and 656 pound-feet of torque, and it's also $11,000 cheaper. The new Redeye has more boost pressure, a higher rev limit, and it has not one but 2 dual-stage fuel pumps. At this rated power, it consumes in 1 hour about 5,000 pounds of air and 500 pounds of 91 octane. At full throttle, you can expect the fuel tank to fully drain in under 11 minutes. In terms of looks, the new batch of Hellcats and Hellcat Redeyes are quite noticeable thanks to the functional dual snorkel hood, a nod to Mopar past like the 1970 Dodge Dart Swinger and the 1971 Demon. The spoiler has been pulled back a bit further and draped over the sides with a little gurney flap to it at the ends. If you fork over an extra $6,000, you can opt for the wide body package, which will get you a 3.5-inch wider track and a set of 20 by 11 inch Devil's Rim wrapped around 305mm wide Pirelli P0s. The only way you could tell the difference between a normal Hellcat versus the Hellcat Redeye is by looking at the badging. The Hellcat Redeye has red eyes, and you can find a slight alteration on the badges on the side of the car, the supercharger, the key fob, and on the splash screen when you first turn on the car, falling in line with the whole "if you know" advertising campaign from the Demon. So what does all of this hardware mean when taking the nearly 800 horsepower beast on the racetrack like Club Motorsports in New Hampshire, a 2.5 mile long stretch of beautifully paved course sitting atop of 250 feet worth of elevation changes?
And now it's my turn to jump into the Challenger Hellcat Redeye, the 797 horsepower, 2.7 liter supercharger, and a 6.2 liter engine. So this is going to be something.
I know what you're wondering: a faster Hellcat and a track with high elevation changes, a recipe for disaster? Short answer, yes, but it all depends on your level of talent and courage. But know this: no other modern production car in existence demands more respect than the Hellcat Redeye. Listen, it's very easy to do a burnout in the Hellcat, and if you've ever had the opportunity to launch the Demon down a drag strip, you'll also find that to be relatively easy. That is once you've figured out the impossibly hard launch sequence.
Increase engine speed. Release brake pedal.
However, to take all of the Redeye's raw potential and turn it into masterpiece lap times not only requires a highly tuned sense of traction, but also a Buddhist monk-like patience during throttle application and braking. The Club Motorsports 15-turn road course is essentially a long straight bookended with a series of fairly textbook turns that's been made overly complicated by the hundreds of feet of elevation changes. The straightaway and long uphill sections are great for the Redeye's powerful motor. Slowly and firmly planting your right foot down causes a crescendo of the signature Hellcat supercharger whine. The 8-speed automatic transmission torque flight unit upshifted hard through the gears as I approached 130 miles per hour down the main straight. Tackling the first few turns of Club Motorsports in the Redeye makes you feel like a hero. Then somewhere between turn 6, when you've just broken the 3-digit mark and the gorgeous Mount Washington comes into view, things start to literally go downhill. Suddenly you become very aware of the Redeye's 4,500-pound weight, as well as that lobster roll you ate during lunch. At this point, the confidence you had behind the wheel diminishes, and the neural connection you had with the road gets a little fuzzy. Finding the limits of adhesion becomes a scary prospect, as applying too much throttle can easily cause the rear end to step out, and having the ability to sense weight transfer plays a larger role. Don't get me wrong though, this is a much better car than the narrow body version. The $6,000 option is well worth the upgrade, as it offers good traction insurance and also improves quarter-mile times by 0.3 of a second. The course gets more hairy towards the end as you exit turn 13 and bolt downhill through turn 14 before pointing yourself at the guardrails and stomping on the brakes for turn 15. Heavy downhill deceleration made the rear end feel extremely light, to the point where it started to dance. But this is a critical corner, and when you can achieve large exit speeds here, you can really make a big difference in the upcoming straight. After putting in 9 combined laps, I never got comfortable driving through Club Motorsports in the Hellcat Redeye. The combination of heavy curb weight, having more power than I can ever effectively put down, having relatively soft suspension and numb steering, made finding the limits a difficult and scary task that should really be reserved for a much more experienced driver. Therefore, taking the Hellcat or the Hellcat Redeye to a road course to set fast times is just a silly idea. This entire experience made me wonder if less is more. Thankfully, to answer that question, Dodge also brought out the largest volume seller in their performance lineup, the Challenger RT Scat Pack. Not just the normal RT Scat Pack, but the wide-body version. After having a go in this best bang for your buck Challenger, you'll realize that having less weight and only 485 horsepower from the 392 Hemi will give you a much more fun experience around the track. The RT Scat Packs that we drove all came with the wide-body treatment, which also adds the same 3.5-inch wider track and the same 305mm wide Pirelli P0s. The wide body package also adds 14% stiffer springs at the front, bigger sway bars in the front, 34mm versus 32mm, and also bigger sway bars in the rear, 21.7mm versus 19mm. With the wide body package, you also get retuned valving in the shocks. So if you wanted one more reason why you should get the wide body, the engineers told me that through their test track, the RT Scat Pack Widebody was able to improve close to 2 seconds per lap, or 12 car lengths when compared to the standard RT Scat Pack. In the quarter mile, it was able to register 12.1 seconds, which is 0.2 faster than the narrow body version. Taking the RT Scat Pack through Club Motorsports was more fun and approachable than its more powerful and more expensive twin. I was consistently 10 miles per hour slower through the straights, but I found myself more willing to carry more speed through the corners. Approaching the limits of adhesion was more like a fun first date, as opposed to the Redeye, which felt more like a divorce settlement meeting. After an entire day's worth of track driving, it was time to drive back to our hotel in Portland, Maine. This 1.5-hour road trip consisted of long 2-lane straights, silent and curvy back roads, and periods of urban congestion. It's on these occasions, outside of the track, where the story of the Hellcat Redeye changes. The desire to have the 392 RT Scat Pack quickly fades. And having 797 horsepower and 707 pound-feet of torque made a lot more sense. You begin to understand the sense of humor and the insanity of Dodge engineers, and you respect the decision that many Americans have made when they decided to put their hard-earned money on the Challenger Hellcat. It's not just about having the fastest and most powerful version of the Challenger in your driveway. It's about having the ability to make such a distinctively raucous sound and generate a lot of smoke with ease. At its core, this is a sound and tire smoke generator. Knowing that you're the most powerful production vehicle available on the road today brings a very strange sense of comfort. Be careful, however, because with great power comes a great need to restrain oneself. I did manage to get pulled over during this driving event by a Maine police officer, and I was kindly let go with a warning. Speed arrives very quickly in these powerful cars, and that supercharger whine and V8 grunt doesn't try to hide the fact that you've arrived. In closing, the offspring of the Hellcat and the Demon makes for a hilariously fun road car and a truly scary track car. The Hellcat Redeye Widebody example that we drove in, equipped with the widebody package, starts at a hefty $76,000 price tag, which isn't a bad deal considering that other production cars at these power levels command a sticker price in the hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars. This is a decent encore to last year's release of the Demon, and should satisfy those buyers yearning for the bigger supercharger and all of the Demon tech. And for the Demon owners out there, don't worry, you still have the best Challenger Dodge has ever made in history, period. With that said, I'd like to thank Dodge for inviting me out to Club Motorsports and letting me have a go around this beautiful racetrack. I also want to thank you, the viewers, for tuning in and watching till the very end. If you found this video helpful or entertaining, please consider giving it a thumbs up, hitting that subscribe button, and also the notification bell so you can get notified anytime we make a new video. We have a lot of stuff going on in the Shifting Lanes channel. We review cars. We attend a lot of exciting driving events, and we also have a stable of project cars in our possession. Personally, I've been building a spec BRZ that I've been autocrossing. We also have Project IS300, Project V70R, and also Project V8 Vantage. With that said, again, I want to thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.